Welcome back to playing the coolest forms of Magic through the thin veneer of that is MTGO. Yes, I know Magic the Gathering Online might look like a grayscale MS-DOS living in a retirement home, but it's a way that we can play Legacy and Cube on the regular. Magic is a good enough game that when you're playing it through goggles filled with piss, it's still pretty solid. Today we're playing Maverick. There'll be a deck list in the description below featuring 4 copies of Orcish Bowmasters. I can't wait to shoot people in the dick. Our initial hand is this, where we can't cast Green Suns because it's a Cradle and a Plains, so we ship it away. Our 6 looks like this. We keep a particularly risky one-lander. If we can stick a creature, our Cradle does something, and Dryad Arbor can be caught off of the Green Sun Zenith as well, but if they kill the Dryad Arbor or counter the Green Suns, we might be sat doing call for a while. We bottom the second copy of Thalia. We play Bayou and we Green Suns for a Dryad Arbor. Our opponent plays Underground Sea and passes, and we attempt to resolve a Sylvan Library. Our opponent pauses and doesn't like the look of this, so they brainstorm looking for some form of interaction, but they don't find it. No Daze, no Force of Will, although we can pay for Daze off the Dryad Arbor here, so we resolve a Sylvan Library. Our opponent untaps, cracks a fetch line, and casts an Orcish Bowmasters, killing our Dryad Arbor, making them a 1/1, and making this Sylvan Library look like dog shit. Now we find ourselves in a situation where my Gaia's Crypt doesn't make mana, so we're now mana behind as well, losing the Arbor. So I feel like I have to draw these cards off the library, even though it's a May, which of course will trigger the Orcish Bowmaster, grow their army, and shoot me for 2. I'm going to do it anyway, because we're so far behind off of that interaction that I need to dig. The Knight, the Reliquary, and the Endurance is not really what we need. We do find the Plains, which allows us to cast Thalia this turn, but she's quite fragile. It doesn't matter though, we don't need removal if they got Daze. We can't pay for the Daze because our Gaia's Crypt doesn't tap for mana, so our 6-card hand ended up being pretty rough. What can I say? Gaia's Cradle is a terrible, terrible Magic card. But we lose, and we go to post board. This Orcish Bowmaster absolutely kicked the living shit out of us and made our Sylvan Library on turn 2, which would normally be a very strong play, very fucking bad. Long story short, we just got fucked by an Orc.
What are you doing, step bro?
I side out Sylvan Library, Collector Oof, and the other thing that blows up artifacts to bring in 2 Carpet Flowers and a Choke, which was our normal game plan against the fair blue decks. I could bring Opposition Agent in, but I'm not sure what I want to cut. R7 has no green source and no black source, which makes it pretty bad. This, once upon a time, could find us a land, but I don't know if I want to keep it and get absolutely fucked if it doesn't, so we mulligan. This hand is absolutely fine, and we put the second copy of Swords of Plowshare on the bottom of our library using London mulligan. We crack a fetch, grab a Savannah, and play an Ignoble Hierarch. We're playing a 3-1 split of Ignoble and Noble, because Noble casts Thalia, where Ignoble casts Orcish Bowmasters. Our deck is very similar to Dukes on Twitch. I have a link in the description below to our deck list today. I took influence from Dukes, but I decided to change it up a little bit to be able to play 4 Bowmaster and change the mana with the Dorks a little bit. Our opponent leads Trop, and we get to cast Grist, which they don't have a response to. So Grist ticks up and makes an insect. They cast Grief, evoking it by exiling a Snuff out from their hand, and they take the Plowshares from our hand. They then reanimate it, zapping themselves for 4, putting it back into play, and ripping the Green Sun Zenith from our hand. Isn't Legacy the fucking coolest? We tick down Grist, sack an insect, and kill the Grief for the 2nd time this game. In all fairness, there's much worse things they could be reanimating. Hell, some of our creatures are probably better than theirs. And attack for 1. We get to keep all this mana up here so we can cast in this Orcish Bowmasters that we drew. Our opponent does nothing, but I don't want to cast the Orcish Bowmaster on their end step because they're probably brainstorming response. I'd rather try and catch them out. It's kind of a who blinks first scenario, and we're not under any pressure. So I untap, make an insect, and attack again for 1 damage. At the end of our turn, they cast an Orcish Bowmaster to ping down Grist and attempt to get through and kill her. So we cast our Orcish Bowmaster, and we ping down their Orcish Bowmaster, because this is what Legacy looks like at the moment. They've been stuck on 2 lands here, and they cast Witherbloom Command in an attempt to mill some cards and hit a land and kill our Orcish Bowmaster. It resolves, but they do not hit a land off of it. We untap and we cast Queen Sun's here for 3. There is a Wasteland in our bin thanks to Grist milling us, so I'm looking to grab a random Excavator here and blow up our opponent's mana base. They probably see this coming or don't want to see what we're grabbing, so they go ahead and Force of Will the Green Sun Zenith. I attack them for 2. They do not block with their Orc army. Sheoldred's Edict chooses the mode to make us sack Grist, who has been a huge valuable engine in killing things and making 1/1 bodies. We draw and play another Ignoble Hierarch, and we attack for 3. They decide to chump, and then we cast Fiend Artisan post-combat, which gives us the ability to shoot for pretty much anything in our deck, because Fiend Artisan is kind of nuts. It actually allows us to get Orcish Bowmaster where Green Sun Zenith doesn't. Our opponent casts a Pernicious Deed, which is probably the single best card in all of Legacy they could have had it, other than maybe Toxic Deluge. They pass to us, and they obviously plan to activate this next turn to Wrath the entire board. Activating for 2 will kill everything we have in play. We draw a Wasteland, which doesn't take them off the mana to be able to activate it, so we go ahead and just blow them off a green source. I get very cute here, activating Fiend Artisan to go get a Questing Beast, which I know they can't go ahead and blow up with Pernicious Deed next turn. It'll do 6 damage this turn thanks to the Exalted triggers, and then 6 damage next turn. It's a 2-turn clock. Quick little spot check for you. Can you recall, can you tell me, in the comment section below, without reading it, can you tell me every line of text on Questing Beast? Because I don't think you fucking can. And then our opponent had a Snuff Out, which is pretty good here, and killed it. It's a 4 life loss, but it slows the clock down from 2 turns back to 3. Quick math. That's a pretty hot card to have in hand. They deed us now, and this sets us back to the Stone Age. We lose everything, and we're also empty-handed. We are 1 mana ahead of them, and they have 1 card in hand. It's literal parity. It's not great. I probably shouldn't have played so much into Deed, but I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting them to play Deed. It's a learning moment for me. Please, come with me. Learn with me. Take my hand, I'll be your guide. We draw a Once Upon a Time that then finds us a Knight of the Reliquary. Our opponent brainstorms and then does something really cool. They cast Reanimate and they target our Grist, which is a creature in any zone but the battlefield. So they essentially pay 3 life and 1 black mana to reanimate our Planeswalker, which makes a insect token, and now can kill whatever we play next turn. We untap and we just hope they don't have days in hand and cast our Knight of the Reliquary, and they don't. Grist ticks down, sacks the insect and kills the Knight. They cast a Brainstorm and make a land drop. We untap and play a Fiend Artisan who's fucking massive right now. It's an 8/8. They untap and cast an 8/8 of their own in Murktide Regent. So we both got to play like 2 mana 8/8s here. We Horizon Canopy our way into an Endurance, and then we just swing. We swing at them. We threaten their life top. They can either chump block with a 1/1 insect, and that's great for us, or they trade with a Murktide Regent, which is also great for us. They chump with Murktide Regent. They trade off, should I say. They untap and take up Grist and make a 1/1. We've got Orcish Bowmaster in the can here, but I think I played this wrong. I think maybe I should have played it earlier. Maybe I should play it now to kill their insect and trade with the army, but I'm not sure. I do it in their end step instead. I guess if they brainstorm, we can cast in response to just kill them with the bolt that it generates. They cast their own Orcish Bowmasters in response to us Bowmastering their insect, because this is what Legacy looks like now. We untap and draw a forest and just play it and pass back. Our opponent cracks a Delta, and we consider using Endurance to go into the graveyard so they can't play another Murktide, because Murktide is basically what we lose to here. I then notice there's an Ur in their bin that Grist had milled into there. I'll put them cracking their second fetch to go look for a green source after finding a Trop with the first one. I'm like, no, I don't think I want to let them cast this fucking Ur in their graveyard. They've also gone to 1 life because of the cracking of the fetches, and then they die to an Orcish Bowmaster. I shuffle their graveyard back in, and they use Grist to make another insect. We untap and we just swing to whittle their ball down, and they chump block both things, trading off against the army and chumping against the Endurance with 1/1s. They kill our Endurance with a down tick from Grist and attack for 1 with the Orcish Bowmasters, but what they don't realise is that we have a Windswept Heath that can fetch our secret weapon. We crack our fetch and we grab Dryad Arbor, a forest creature. We go to combat, we attack with our 1/1, and our opponent didn't see it coming. They're dead. Surprise Ninja Dryad Arbor. Having seen the Ur, I bring Surgical Extraction out on the board in place of a Once Upon a Time. Underground Sea into Ponder from our opponent, who kept a 7-card hand, and we got to keep 7 cards too. We play a Noble Hierarch and pass back. Our opponent plays a fetch and passes back, and we draw Surgical. We play a second Mana Dork. The problem with these fucking dorks right now is they all die to Orcish Bowmaster. I guess them pinging off a dork is not them not pinging off a Thalia, for example, but it's still not great. They cast a Plague Engineer, which luckily we're not playing 4 Ignoble Hierarch or 4 Noble Hierarch. They can't just wrath our board with this by picking the same creature type. So in some ways, my split, which is more around mana costs, actually paid off here. I am so good at Magic. I'm expecting to lose 1 dork, but they actually resolve it and name Orc, which is very clever, as it kills an Orcish Bowmaster plus the counter or the token that it generates. I Swords to Plowshare the shit out of that Plague Engineer and come back to my turn. We attack for 2 with a double Exalted Noble Hierarch. I also wasteland their Underground Sea here because I love blowing up lands. And we pass back to them with the mana open to be able to flash in Orcish Bowmasters. I'm playing around days, and I want to be reactive as opposed to proactive. They cast Life from the Loam, targeting 3 lands in the bin, including an Underground Sea. I see an opportunity here to reduce the effectiveness of Loam with a Surgical Extraction, but also potentially take away the Underground Sea and all Underground Seas in their deck with Surgical, meaning those fetch lands might be useless. We hit the Underground Sea, paying some life, and we find there's an Underground Sea in the bin and 2 in their library. We also get to see their hand, which has Pernicious Deed in it, meaning we need to not play into that this game. The fact they have Pernicious Deed, Days, and 3 removal spells is pretty crazy, but I think I mean, over time we can beat that, right? I checked the rest of their deck and they have one more fetchable land, I think at first, which is a tropical island, but I missed the fact they are playing Mystic Sanctuary. So they have 2 more fetchable lands off of the lands they're putting back into their hand. They play Misty Rainforest and they pass back to us. We go ahead and crack fetch and play Grist of our 3 mana. We attack for 2 here because we're not planning to cast Orcish Bowmasters because we're not going to lose it 2 days. We also kind of want to resolve it when it's not just going to die to a removal spell as well. They get Mystic Sanctuary, they play a fetch, and they play a Pernicious Deed. We attack for 3 with an Exalted Insect. We keep generating insects and we just don't commit anything else to the board. We don't need to. There's no need to play into this Pernicious Deed any further. Delta grabs their last trop, so all their fetch lands are now not usable, and they Shielded Edict our Planeswalker away. They decide to activate and detonate the deed here, so I float some mana and cast an Orcish Bowmasters after it's resolved. We ping them, untap, attack for 2, and play a Fiendish Artisan. Our opponent plays a Polluted Delta that we know can't fetch anything. It does trigger Revolt though if they're playing Push, which we know they are as they use it to kill our Fiendish Artisan. We play a Knight of the Reliquary as it's now safe to overextend a little bit. They attempt to daze it and we just pay, and it resolves, it sticks to the board. Our opponent pays full cost, 4 mana Snuff Out to kill a Knight of the Reliquary, which we're okay with. That's quite a big tempo gain for us. We attack them for 2, taking them to 4, and then we hold up Endurance until our end step. I realised that if they cast a Murktide Legion here, it might be how we lose this game. So I decided to just shuffle the graveyard away so they really do struggle to cast a Murktide. 1, there's nothing they can use in the bin for Delve, but 2, well, they don't have enough actual mana sources in the deck. We now know that they only have the Bayou, the 2 drops, and the Mystic Sanctuary, and no other mana producing lands. They just can't cast a Murktide. The Endurance resolves, and they go to their main phase, and they scoop it up. I like to think that they drew the Murktide there, and that's why they scooped, but I guess we'll never know. And that was one fun round of Maverick featuring Bowmaster into Bug Murktide, or Bug Value, or whatever the fuck you want to call this blue-green black deck. If you want to see more Legacy like this, don't forget to subscribe, like this video, tell me in the comment section below what matchups and what decks you would like to see in a future video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.